I'm so gone. You can name a thing that's not turned bad, and I'm turning wrong.
Hello music makers, welcome back to Make the Music, and today we've got another video. We're going over mixing. We're going to be looking at vocals again, specifically pop vocals in this genre, and how to brighten up a really dark vocal performance. How do we get the top end back so the vocals are clear, they cut through the mix, but they're not so much top end heavy that you can't really hear what's going on, or they're really piercing, they're tough to listen to. How do we get that balance? We're going to be breaking it down in that video. Now you just heard that preview where the vocals for this song came in really, really dark, right? I mean, they were super muffled sounding, and I was able to bring the top end out in a nice way that doesn't feel too piercing, and really get that vocal to sit in the mix. Real quick, you're going to want to subscribe to the channel and like the video to see more videos like this. We got a lot of great mixing stuff coming. I do offer mixing and mastering services, and you can view that in the description box down below. But let's get into this lesson here. So you heard the preview. Let me solo the vocals again for you, and I'm just going to hit play real quick.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all.
All right, really bright, really present. Let me take some of the processing off now. I'm going to take, this is my master vocal chain, my lead vocal chain, and then some of the lead vocal chain here. Now let me hit play for that.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all with hands on your heart and all.
Okay, super dark, super muffled. Now I will say this, as a mixing engineer, I prefer vocals to come in darker than they need to be, and I can brighten them up than the other way around. If vocals are too bright coming in, you actually are losing some of that definition in the vocal, and it's really hard for me to darken in a way that makes sense, but also keep the top end right. So I prefer this, but you need to take a really methodical approach when bringing out the brightness again. So what did I do here? Let's break down all the plugins I used. So the first thing I used is I applied some processing on the lead vocal here. I have Virtual Mix Rack, which you can see here, and I'm using a couple different things. This is mostly EQ. I'm using this custom series high lift channel on the Silky channel here. I'm adding 2 dB of that. And then what I actually did here is dipped some of the super top end, and I'll explain why in a second, because I'm using some parallel processing here. I'm using some processing that's kind of overlapping here. And then I rolled off up to 81 Hertz, but you notice nothing crazy going on in the low mids. And this is on just specifically this lead vocal track.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all.
And then I'm adding compression. This is the CLA 76 plugin. I love this plugin for compression. It's on the blue channel. I think it's just the Start Me Up channel, essentially. I think I modified the input and output a little bit, but it's at the 4:1 ratio here.
I know you can tell we're falling.
Bypassed.
I know you can tell.
It's not the craziest difference so far, but I will be stacking some things up here. And so for the lead vocals, I added a similar thing, just more compression on that Start Me Up channel. And then here we have for the lead vocal bus. So this is applying to the lead vocals, not these backgrounds. Here's all the leads.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing.
Bypass and then on. I am adding some top here, so 1.4 dB to the 7.5, and I'm adding 3 dB to the 2.676 Hertz. And then I'm dipping out some low mids now. So this is 285. The way I found that frequency was I just boosted with a small Q until I felt, wow, that's super roomy. That's not sounding very good. And here, I'll do that for you real quick.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all.
Yeah, just a really ugly frequency. So I took that out there. That's causing a lot of the mud. Additional high pass filter. And so that's what I did. I added the virtual channel there with additional compression. So this is what we have now.
I know you can tell we're falling.
It's an improvement, but the vocal's not really all the way bright, what it needs to be in the mix. And so here's where a lot of the heavy lifting is happening on the vocal bus. So let's break this down here. I'm going to enable this and go one plugin at a time. This first plugin, the Virtual Mix Rack, once again, a lot of top end, right? We got 5 dB on the 7.5K shelf, and then 6 dB there, like a big EQ move. So let me show you that one.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it.
There's a lot of clarity added there. Then I'm adding this Fresh Air by Slate plugin. This is an amazing plugin if you're trying just to add that overall shelf to the vocal, but not get it to be too distorted or too, poking through with those harsh frequencies that just make your ears hurt, right? And so here's what the Fresh Air is doing. This is going a long ways.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all with hands on.
It's like, oh my gosh, that's night and day, right? And so this boost by the virtual mix rack, it feels like it's adding a lot of that telephone frequency.
I know you can tell.
And then this fresh air is adding like a lot of that brightness, like that shelf that is really giving the vocal that clarity.
I know you can tell.
And I did an 83% boost with the mid-air. You can turn off the link here with this middle button, and then 47% to add that sparkle. So I'm adding more presence. I don't like adding a ton of shelf above like 12K. It's great for a vocal, but if you add too much, you start to lose the clarity. The vocal seems like way too airy. You actually want to add some nice mid-range. Like this one is mid-air. It's a high mid presence, and it really does a good job of bringing that out there.
I know you can tell.
Now with added top end and compression, you're going to have those S's really pop out of the mix, right? And what really makes an amateur vocal sound is when you can hear those S's and they're super aggressive. So I added de-ess in here. This is just the stock Reaper de-esser. And I'm aiming around 4,000 hertz, a short bandwidth, and then an aggressive ratio or aggressive threshold 4:1 ratio.
I know you can tell.
And when that meter moves, you can tell that's where it's really clamping down on those syllabit frequencies.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been
Like that tell and other syllables like that. So we're getting a lot closer. Then here's what I do to cap it off. I'm adding the L1 limiter by Waves. And this is just doing some extra limiting. So if there's anything spiky coming out of the vocal, it's clamping down on that with this plugin.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it
So you
all.
can see the gain reduction there, right? It's doing a little bit of gain reduction, mostly if there's like a syllable that's just way louder than another. It's clamping down on that, making sure it doesn't jump out of the mix and feels consistent.
I know you can tell we're falling apart.
And then lastly, we have the CLA Epic. This is what I like to use for reverb and delay. I'm using this module here, I should say, the slap, the crowd, and then this plate reverb.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all.
For a pop mix like this that's upbeat, I don't want the vocal to get too muddy with ambience, right? But I wanted to add some plate, some movement, and a little bit of delay there.
I know you can tell.
So all the plugins bypassed.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing.
So you can tell most of my heavy lifting was on that vocal bus. I did a very similar approach with the backgrounds here. I added a little more reverb to them. I wanted to have a different feel, and I really cut a ton of low end out of the background vocals there. So let's do a breakdown here. I'll bypass all the plugins I was using on the vocals and bring them back in. So let's bypass all these.
I know you can tell we're falling apart, 'cause I've been losing it all with hands on your heart. And all I know is I'm so gone.
And now I'll play it in the track one more time.
You can do a thing that's not turn bad, and I'm turning on. I'll never find.
So that's how to save a dark recorded vocal, a dark vocal performance, bring out the brightness, and get it to fix in the mix right there. Add some nice compression, EQ, use a plugin like Fresh Air or any other EQ you have to add some sparkle to that top end, and then de-ess it to bring it and rein it back in. So that's my strategy there. Let me know, how do you mix vocals like this, especially if they come in too dark? I'm really interested to know. Leave a comment. And anyways, we're going to be getting into more mixing tutorials, more recording and producing, and I will see you guys next time.